Hello and welcome to week 4 of the 4-week Confidence Currency Intensive. I'm Tiffany, the creator of Confidence Currency, and I'm so excited that you're here because it's Go Week. This is the week that you are putting into practice your personal health plan, actually beginning to walk out everything that we've been going over for the last 3 weeks. I hope you're excited, but I'd understand also if you're feeling a little nervous or intimidated because this is a big deal. This is potentially a catalytic moment in your life, and it's normal to feel a little anxious about it, but it's okay because perfection is not the goal here. Progress is, and you have already started making progress and you will continue to. This week, I believe, is going to be a marked moment in your life where you look back and you start to see, this is when I started to take really that first step of making these changes in my life. Whether it's perfect or not, and it won't be. So just let that expectation go. It's going to be progress, and there you have every reason to be proud. Because every year, millions of people across the world set out with some sort of desire to make a change in their health, to lose weight, whatever it may be. Many start, right? Many recognize the need, but so few actually finish. So few can actually look back a year later and say, wow, look at all this progress I made. The majority of people burn out, give up, or are in a worse situation than they were at the very beginning when they first started that goal. And today, I'm going to be going through what are those reasons why people kind of fizzle out or burn out. And I'm going to give you the keys that I have learned over being able to maintain, a huge amount of weight loss and live in a healthy weight range and a healthy lifestyle over the last 10 years. I'm going to share those keys with you that I've learned because thankfully, I am one of those people who have been able to set the goal and reach the goal and then maintain the goal. And that didn't happen by accident. It didn't just happen because I'm a disciplined person. It didn't just happen because I have, some sort of magic fairy dust sprinkled on me and I get to, live my dreams. It happened because of some very real keys that I have learned. I'm excited to be sharing those with you this week and the final week of the 4-week Confidence Currency Intensive. So, the very first thing that we're going to go over, I'm not even going to really hold back. I'm giving you what I believe is actually probably the most important key here right at the beginning. They're all important, but this one, it's really, really important. And it is to learn to ID the bumps in the road. Now, in week 2, I introduced this concept to you because in the first 2 weeks, we were talking a lot about what do your behaviors reveal that you believe about yourself and needing to fix those beliefs in order to actually modify your behaviors so that your experience or your results can be different in life. And so we talked about IIDDing, which I just make it quick and say ID your situations. And so when I'm saying ID the bumps in the road, I'm talking about, you know what I mean, when you're going around and you're just going through your journey and you're doing so good and then, something gets in the way and it begins to just throw everything off. Those moments, right, when everything doesn't go according to plan, that's what we're going to talk about because these are the things that typically tend to derail people, right? Everyone starts off with their goals. They know what they're going to do. They're ready. They're motivated. And then all of a sudden, vacation comes. All of a sudden, they get sick or their family gets sick. Or all of a sudden, school lets out and summer's here and that changes the family dynamic. If our life was always just went perfectly according to plan, then a lot of us maybe would be able to stick with our plans and meet our goals. But the truth is life is unpredictable. Life changes. And I feel that that's really the number one thing that tends to throw people off once they've started on their journey is all of a sudden something changes and their situation becomes different than how it was when they started. And they don't really know how to navigate that. And so IDing your bumps is what you're really going to rely on and use whenever you're hitting those unexpected situations, whether that's unexpected things happening from the outside, somebody coming to visit or a party is planned that you're invited to or whatever, or that unexpected bump comes from the inside, a decision that you've made that you're not happy with. Because let me tell you right here and now, I'll just burst that little bubble that maybe you're thinking, this is going to just be perfect. This is the time that I'm going to do this perfectly. It's not. You're going to hit a moment in your journey, possibly this week, where you just feel like I have absolutely blown it. Like, I am such an idiot. I did the exact opposite thing that Tiffany told me to. I did the exact opposite thing that my personal health plan, I planned that I was going to do. This is just not gonna work. Like, I'm an idiot, I've blown it. You are going to have that moment. So just accept it now. Now, that's not for me to say, well, hey, you're gonna fail, so just don't really stick to your plan. Nobody's perfect. Tiffany's never gonna say that. But what I am saying is you're going to have that moment where you just feel like, I'm not following the plan. I wanted to follow the plan and I didn't follow the plan. And you're gonna be tempted in that moment to give up. And that is when you need to pause and say, what did Tiffany say? Oh yeah, I need to ID the bumps in the road. So let me go ahead and give you an example. All right, so let's say it's been a long week at work, right? It's been a long week and you're tired and you have been working really hard, and everyone wants to go out for lunch, and you brought your lunch with you. You brought your healthy little, salad and sweet potato and everything, but your coworkers, your friends, they want to go out to lunch, and you just say, okay, am I gonna bring my, healthy packed lunch to the restaurant? People are probably gonna look at me. It's Friday, I've been working out. You know what, I'm just gonna go. And so you go out to lunch, and when you get there, you open up the menu, and it just seems like this is like fried food city, right? Everything seems unhealthy. You don't even understand what some of the things are, and it just feels like you don't even really have an option. And so you end up just going with what sounds good. You order something and you're like not proud of it, but you eat it because you don't feel like you have an option. And then your coworker decides to order dessert, and they're passing it around, and they get spoons for everyone. And so you've had it, and you just walk out of there knowing that was not on my plan. That is going to be really crappy to have to put that in my calorie log. And you're tempted in that moment just to feel like, see, like, I'm never going to be able to do this. You're tempted in the moment to just say, screw it, it's Friday, I'm just going to, go ahead and live my weekend the way I want to, because this is what always happens to me. In that moment, you need to stop and say, I'm going to ID this bump in the road. So what does the first I stand for? Isolate the behavior. In that moment, you need to say, okay, I'm just gonna pull out this behavior. I'm not gonna talk about me or anything else. What was the behavior, right? The behavior was, I made one bad choice, maybe two if you count the dessert, but we'll just say collectively one bad choice, right? This is one bad choice in perspective of all of the right choices that I've made this week. In this instance, I made the bad choice to let myself be controlled by food, to let myself be controlled by what I felt like the opinions of my coworkers would be if I were to bring my healthy lunch. I let myself be controlled by that. I let myself be controlled by the circumstances. That was the behavior. I chose unhealthy food that did not align with my goals, and that was the behavior. Now, second, identify the belief. What was really the belief that was going on in your head when you chose to make that decision? Well, it was, if I bring my prepacked healthy lunch, everyone's going to think that I'm a weirdo, and they're just going to think I'm a health nut. I'm going to get made fun of, and I didn't want to do that. So that was a belief that was informing there. And then when I got there and I looked at the menu, I felt like there's not a single healthy option on here, and so I might as well just choose what I wanted. And now the belief is that I'm a failure, and I'm bound to continue to repeat this behavior and never meet my health goals. Then IID, right? We've got to disown the lie. You're going to come to a moment where you say, okay, it is not true that maybe they would have made fun of me and maybe they would have made a comment, but it's not true that those things that they thought would have been true, because I think deep down they would have actually respected me for having made those decisions and respect me for actually sticking to my goals. And it actually isn't true that I didn't have the ability to make a healthy decision if I did decide to order off the menu, because surely, even if I had just, ordered a burger and taken the bun off of the burger and then taken my, serving of fries and eaten half of my serving of fries, certainly that would have been healthier. Or was there a salad available? There are certain ways that you can make even the, less ideal options a little more, ideal. So it's not true. That's a lie that you didn't have the option to eat anything healthy, right? And then decide it's also a lie that I'm never going to be able to overcome these issues. And now I'm actually going to take it and decide what's true. And what's true is that this bump in a road is actually an opportunity for me to learn from my mistakes, because I'm going to be in this sort of situation again and again and again, where I get invited to do something that I didn't know was going to happen, and I want to go, and so go. But I'm going to have to, figure out how to navigate people's opinions of me on this journey. I'm gonna have to figure out how to navigate when food is less than ideal in choice. And I'm gonna have to figure out how to navigate what happens when I make a decision that isn't exactly in support of my goals. How do I bounce back from that? Because honestly, like I said, the number one thing that I think really discourages people from continuing in their journey and just totally bumps them off is that when they hit these bumps in the road, they don't know how to recover from them. And you've got to know how to recover from these bumps, because they're going to happen. All the time, people will come to me and they'll ask me to, coach them or help them meet their health goals. And, at the beginning, they're always excited and they're like feeling motivated. But honestly, it's not until we're about like a month or two into, working together, and they've hit a bump in the road and they feel like, see, I've blown it, I'm such a loser, that I actually get excited, because I finally feel like we are finally at a point where we can address the things that need to be addressed so that they can be successful for the long term. Because again, it's not just deciding to start, it's not feeling motivated to start, it's actually when you hit these bumps in the road, not letting them totally derail you off a cliff, but actually learning, how do I swerve back on and keep going? So I get excited when people kind of feel that they've blown it, because I think, okay, now we can actually look at what are the things that have derailed you in the past, so that we can learn how to maneuver those and navigate those so that you don't continually keep doing the same thing in the future. So you hitting a bump is not an indicator that you are always going to continue to fail. You hitting a bump is an opportunity for you to learn how to move forward in the future so that you actually reach your goals. So these bumps, they are not like, oh man, see, I suck. These bumps are like, yes, this is a golden opportunity for me to learn what caused me to fail in the past so that I can learn to make different decisions, because you're gonna have to learn how to bob and weave through life, because that's what life is. So when you're hitting these bumps in the road this week, don't feel like, man, like I can't do this. Think, oh, okay, this is my opportunity. I need to ID this situation. So let's do another example, okay? Let's say you had every intention of waking up early, going to the gym, making your lunch, making a healthy breakfast, going to the gym before work, and you had your whole day planned out, but then, don't you know it, your alarm doesn't go off, or you hit snooze and you wake up and you only have time just barely to hurry up, get dressed, and get to work. You weren't able to pack your breakfast, you weren't able to pack your lunch, you weren't able to go to the gym, and you arrive at work just feeling disheveled and totally, just like discombobulated. You had all these plans to be set up for a healthy day, and they just feel like they're gone out the window. And so you get to work and you're starving because you haven't had anything to eat, and you look in the break room and there's, donuts there, and you just feel like, well, I'm not going to have another opportunity to eat, so I'm just going to go ahead and, grab this donut. And then, there's a meeting going on at lunch, and so now lunch is being catered in, and even though you plan to bring your own lunch, you have to eat what's catered. And so you end up, grabbing like 2 sandwiches because you're still starving, because all you had was a donut. And so you grab sandwiches and you grab chips, and you already know that you have a pizza date planned at the end of the day that originally you were planning on, using your relaxed meal for, and you were going to allocate and budget that in the beginning of the day. But come the evening, you're just like throwing your hands in the air, just feeling so defeated, because you had made the plans, you had even bought the food, but it just didn't work. And it feels like it's totally out of your hands. Let's practice again. There's a bump. Let's IIDD, let's ID it, okay? So first, you are going to isolate the behavior. The behavior was you woke up late, can't really control that necessarily, right? And then you chose to have a donut. You chose to eat more food than you should have at lunch, and you chose to still go ahead and do your relaxed meal and eat pizza. That's the behavior. You don't need to make more of it than it was. That was the behavior in that moment. and those behaviors did not support your goals. So then we are going to identify what was the belief. The belief there was, well, since I wasn't able to bring my breakfast and I wasn't able to bring my lunch and I wasn't able to work out, the day just already felt shot. And so I just already felt like I was defeated. I already felt like I had lost. So I just figured, well, I might as well just go ahead and eat what I want to eat, because I can't choose what I'm having for breakfast. I can't choose what I'm having for lunch. I had already planned to have pizza, and it just feels like it's all one big, you really are believing it's just all unfair and that you're just destined to kind of have to live outside of what your health goals are. Okay, well now let's go ahead and disown some of those lies, because those beliefs are not true. So you're going to disown the lies. You're going to say, well, yes, just because I woke up late and I wasn't able to exercise doesn't mean that I have to just throw in the towel. Yeah, I missed out on an opportunity to create a bigger calorie deficit, but if I had made wise choices nutritionally, I would have been feeling much better than I feel now, right? And I'm also going to disown the lie that I had to eat the donut, or that I had to eat, 2 or 3 sandwiches, because that's not really true. I could have, walked down the hall, or, done something different to say, okay, can I get a granola bar, right? Or can I order a smoothie? Or can I do something that's a little healthier? And I could have, eaten 1 sandwich and drinking more water for lunch. And I don't have to eat the pizza just because I originally planned on eating the pizza. And just saying, and disowning the lie that I'm destined to always continue to repeat these behaviors, and everything is just against my, desire to reach my goals. Saying, I'm not going to agree with that anymore. This is not true. And I'm going to decide what's true. I'm going to decide that, this is a learning opportunity. This is a bump that I'm going to hit probably again in the future. And I'm going to take this as an opportunity to actually learn. And so maybe I'm going to set multiple alarms for work. Maybe if for some reason when my planned workout doesn't happen, I can go ahead and I can make sure to squeeze a walk in there sometime during my lunch break, or on just a quick 15-minute break. Maybe I'm going to go ahead and prep my breakfast and lunches in the evening, so that if I do wake up late, I will already have them ready to go and I can just grab them. And if an unexpected meal comes up and I end up spending way more calories there, I'm gonna go ahead and switch my relaxed meal to be that. And if I'm not willing to do that, then I probably shouldn't eat those things. But I can do it. I'm choosing to believe that this is a learning opportunity and it's valuable, and I'm gonna learn from it, because this is where I'm headed. I'm headed towards success. I'm not gonna let this derail me. I believe that I'm able to do hard things because I've been doing hard things. And this is a necessary learning experience that I need to encounter, because I'm going to encounter it again. So in your personal health plan, in your worksheets for today, you're going to see that you have a space where you can ID some of the bumps that you are going to face this week if you haven't already. And so when you hit those bumps, do not be discouraged. Do not let your mind start to, formulate beliefs about yourself. Just say, okay, I'm going to pause. I'm going to isolate what was the behavior. I'm going to identify what was the belief that caused me to do that behavior. I'm going to, disown the lies that I'm being tempted to believe, and I'm going to decide what is true. Let me tell you, this is gold. You have got to learn to navigate the bumps that are going to come your way on this journey. And as you do, every time it's gonna be like, these bumps are going to turn into confidence currency for you, because what was meant to derail you, you're actually gonna say, oh, clearly there were some things that I needed to learn there. I needed to gain perspective here, and I'm gaining it. And now this is my plan for doing it differently. And it's just gonna give you so much confidence when the next time you face that bump, you don't get bumped and thrown off. You just jump right over it and you just keep on riding. You're gonna do great. Keep going. This is Go Week. You are prepared, you are equipped, and you're going to identify those bumps in the road, and you're just gonna be filled with confidence currency as you learn and you prove to yourself that you can do it. I'm excited for you.